Well, welcome back to You Heard It From a CFP. My name is Matthew Coyle. Today is September 15th, 2021. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I never, under any circumstances, for any reason, ever, use a debit card. All right, welcome back to the office. Well, we're going to start today's video off with a question. If I could eliminate 99.99% of all the personal liability that you incur from your daily spending, whether it be online, in a shop, in a marketplace, while you travel, etc., etc. If I could eliminate 99.99% of the liability you incur from those transactions, would you do that? Now, obviously the answer would be yes, but many Americans still today, and I meet many of them, still use debit cards for their daily spending. You know, we talk a lot about investments on these channels and financial blogs and things like that. A lot about investments, a lot about investing, real estate investing, how to manage your finances, but people rarely talk about the daily things that put you at risk on a daily basis. The small things that you don't realize at the time are putting you at great risk. So today we're talking about debit cards versus credit cards and why I never, under any circumstances, will ever own or ever use a debit card. And why our friend, the friend you never knew you had, the credit card, is the one you should always be using. Let's dive in. 4 reasons. All right, well, let's run through them. 4 reasons. Number 1, let's talk about liability. The reason I choose credit cards over debit cards is because a credit card is not attached directly and does not expose my bank account information to the world. Every day you use a debit card, and they look very similar to credit cards, of course. There sometimes can be confusions on what a debit card is versus a credit card. A debit card pulls money directly from your checking account or savings account every time you use it. A credit card is temporarily a loan, and you must pay that loan back within 30 days of your statement, or you'll have interest and possibly penalties on those payments if you don't make them. So, why choose a credit card which could expose me to interest and penalties over a debit card, which is simply just like paying cash? Well, the number 1 reason that I would start off with in my line of 4 reasons is liability. When you spend on a credit card, you are not technically spending your own money. You are spending the credit card company's money. My money sits in a money market savings account or a brokerage account or a retirement account or another type of account, completely hidden from the world and not exposed to the merchant or exposed to anyone who might accidentally get that information through nefarious means or completely accidentally. So I spend a credit card because I'm not technically spending my money at the point of sale. I let the credit card company tally it up, they'll send me a bill, and then I will happily pay that bill. So that's number 1 reason is liability. If someone were to steal my credit card information tomorrow and charge $1 million on that line, my liability by federal law is 0. I don't have any liability except for a nominal $50, which is usually waived by the credit card companies anyway. If I were to purchase a product that does not show up, that is broken, that is from a fictitious website, my liability is 0. Unfortunately, you cannot say the same thing for a debit card. Oftentimes when debit card fraud happens, only you are the one who's going to get robbed, and it will take some time to get your money back. In the meantime, you still have rent to pay or mortgage to pay or bills to pay, etc., etc., etc. So if you want to reduce your liability, please, please, please do not use a debit card, only use a credit card. Okay, reason number 2, building your credit. You know, it used to be 30 or 40 years ago that if you had bad credit, really it just meant that you wouldn't get the house that you were looking to get, or maybe you wouldn't be able to buy the car that you really wanted. Nowadays, you know, pretty much everything is attached to your credit. If you apply for a job, there will be a company checking your credit. If you apply for an internship, they will check your credit. Even when you apply to college, they may check your credit in some places. You apply for a life insurance policy, you apply to rent an apartment, you apply for any type of consumer credit, whether it be cars, personal loans, personal lines, boat loans, anything, they will check your credit. A fast and easy way to build your credit is with credit cards. And as long as those credit cards are responsibly paid off and you're not excessively borrowing, you will build your credit very, very quickly and have a sparkling credit score by the time it's time to get your own home or your own car or make some major financial decisions. So, number 2, build that credit and build it quickly. All right, reason number 3, teach your kids how to use credit wisely. There are very few tools that are available for teaching kids to use credit wisely. If you get them a bank account, they really don't have an appreciation for it. If you get them a savings account, they don't use it enough on a daily basis to really interact with it very much. And they certainly can't buy a car or a home or anything major on their own credit because they really don't have anything. So one way to teach your kids how to use credit wisely is to use a very low limit, very secure credit card. I have 2 sons. When those 2 sons eventually go off to college or whatever their future plans are after high school, the very first thing I will do is apply for credit cards in their name with the bill coming to me. Now that accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, if they are spending too much time in places I don't want them to spend, bars, clubs, etc., I will be the first one to know about it, and I will have a discussion with that child about that. Number 2, it allows them to build credit very wisely, and when they leave school, they will have sparkling credit because I will co-sign the credit card for them and be helping them pay the bills as they go through. Once they're done, they will be on their own, and they can have a nice credit score to take with them into their first career, wherever that may be. So, teaching kids how to use credit wisely in their name, but with an assist from you, is a very good way to help kids build credit quickly because they simply don't have the capacity to do so otherwise. And you set the limits. If I want them to spend a certain amount of money per month, then I set the credit card limit to that amount of money per month and I control that. So it's an excellent way for parents to do that. And of course, number 4, and of course we have to talk about this because it's such a competitive landscape in this business, credit card rewards and bonus programs. You know, if you're like me and you travel maybe once a month or once every other month at the least, you simply should not be using a debit card. It's a very competitive marketplace. There's so many great credit card programs out there to use. I'm not going to promote one over the other, but the amount of competition in this market produces some very nice company rewards and benefits that you should be taking advantage of if you are not. I do keep a spreadsheet, and hopefully you do as well, but I keep a separate spreadsheet in my own personal finances with regard to credit card rewards. And by my estimate, roughly over the last 3 years, I've seen about $15,000 in value from these cards that I use and on a rotating basis. So if you're like me and you spend on a daily basis for business expenses or for personal expenses or travel or what have you, the competitive marketplace that we have now demands that you take advantage of these because there's an excellent benefit programs being thrown your way. Don't settle for a debit card if you don't have to, especially with the liability of using those. Probably the worst financial product ever invented for the American consuming public was the debit card. It shifted liability from the banks to the individual, and you got virtually no benefit from it. So, 4 reasons why I only use credit cards and not debit cards. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Take care.